Okay, today we are talking about grifting. Why are we talking about grifting? Well, I got to thinking about this uh, earlier today because I've been watching this, I don't know what you call it, this feud, this scenario kind of unfolding the last few days, going almost 10 days now, with a creator that goes by the name The Quartering, um, aka, the Jeremy Hambley, um, who runs that. And full disclosure, Jeremy is somebody that I've watched for a number of years now. Um, he kind of popped up, at least on my radar, around the same time as like the Steven Crowders and Ben Shapiro's, Tim Pool's. People of that nature started popping up on my radar. Same with like Josiah Rises, um, and this would have been around the same time probably as the Geeks and Gamers Jeremy, people like that. So these people kind of popped up on my radar around the same time, and I've watched all of them off and on uh, since then. Some have fallen off my radars a little bit because over time I've been like, I don't want to watch this person no more. But Jeremy's kind of stuck on my watch list, kind of casually, I should say, uh, ever since. I don't quite. He's not quite in the same camp as say uh, on my watch list as say like a Tim Pool or somebody like that. Amongst other things that I watch podcasts, don't even have to do with those kind of topics. I watch a lot of other things like the confessionals and blurry creatures and things like that. So I've got a pretty big variety of other things besides the entertainment commentary sphere and political commentary sphere. But why are we talking about grifting? Well, that seems to be what this is kind of boiling down to. I won't go into too much of the details of what's been happening. I'll kind of do a quick assessment. And basically, April 6th, there was already a feud going on between the Quartering and another content creator called Kino Casino. And as I understand it, Kino Casino is just um, a channel that does basically making fun of other people's content. I guess I don't watch their stuff, so I'm going to have a very rough idea of that. Um, but it looks like Jeremy took issue with that and then seems to have gone after him. Now, I say seems because there's evidence, not proof, online, so we'll see what happens. But basically, um, Jeremy made some veiled threats that he could use his power at YouTube to influence getting their channels kicked. And then right after that, he said that it happened to a number of channels. So it's kind of dominoed. Again, no direct proof that he did that, but there seems to be some evidence. Okay, so that's just the very basic of it. If you want to look more into it, you can look up the Quartering versus Kino Casino, and it'll take you down the rabbit hole, and you can look into it. And I really don't care about that too much. What I'm kind of focusing on is what's interesting to me in this time is this idea of grifting and what it means, and then where it goes too far. And is there a place where grifting is okay and not okay? Because grifting in the modern context doesn't just mean a snake oil salesman, does it? It doesn't mean just a con artist. It means somebody who is seeing something that is popular, right? And seeing that wave that somebody else has created, and they are going, oh, you know what? I'm going to ride that wave, right? And when they do it well, they can be pretty successful at it, and they can in the YouTube realm, they can make a living at it. And it's funny because I this is something I've thought about kind of before with Jeremy because I've seen cracks, you know, with his content where it's like, yeah, you're grifting, you're kind of grifting, right? And I was kind of okay with it, and the reason why is because most of the time you could kind of start seeing it. He would kind of admit it. He's like, I'm totally grifting. Like a good example was his coffee brand coffee. He's like, I'm just going to do this because everybody else is doing it. So why not? I'm going to do it. And you know what? Making money at it. So good on you. And he's honest. He was honest about that. And so I kind of didn't have a problem with that. And the other part of the grift, I suppose, and this kind of ties into some other people that have fallen off my radar or fallen off my watch radar in the last few years, would be that you could say that when people like Tim Pool, who have a real talent for following the news, really breaking it down, being really critical and analytical about it, and then the same day, a few hours later, I'll see a video pop up with the quartering covering the same topic from his perspective, which that's what happens with trending things, I suppose. That's why it's trends, because people start talking about it. But there's been many times where it's been a one for one. And so that is what I would call kind of a grift, right? I shouldn't say kind of, it really is kind of a grift, riding that coattail. And with his audience that crosses over, there's definitely a crossover between his audience and actually, I would say Jeremy of the quartering is one of those people who has the kind of audience where you're going to watch entertainment criticism stuff, like say, for example, maybe a Geeks and Gamers kind of personality, maybe even the Popcast brothers, people like that. People who watch their stuff are, but then also if they're the same people that watch a Tim Pool or say a Steven Crowder, there's a good chance you've watched a quartering video and maybe watched his stuff faithfully. So he kind of rides that middle point there, doesn't he? And he's done it so well where he's able to kind of bounce in this space and pick and choose what it is he wants to pull from both those realms, quite skillfully, I would say, to make money off of it. I mean, props to you. But what's interesting is now you kind of got to ask yourself a question. Okay, is that okay to do? I would say it's kind of weak, but I don't know. I haven't done it, and I'm not that skilled. So, and he's made a living at it. Okay, all right. But now we're talking about something crossing a line, right? Is the desire and the natural tact to skillfully grift the way that he has the last few years, that skill that he has, it's so embedded in him that now through all his preachings are talking about ethics and the way that I've thought that he's been ethical, because I believed him to be reasonably ethical guy. That's why I still watch the guy. And then you see him do potentially this takedown, really instigate this takedown of these other channels for simply making fun of him. Well, now we're talking about a line, and the line is this. First of all, do you really believe in free speech? If he did this, all the times that he said that he believes in free speech, well, do you really? Because now you're going to go after these people and get their channels taken down. And there's stakes in this in the modern context, because we're talking about people's livelihood on YouTube, right? These people who are making their living this way. And we can have other discussions about whether you should not have your eggs in one basket. That's all valid, but we're not talking about that, right? This is a guy who knows this, who knows it quite well. So if this is true, that's where the grift and the greed, I suppose, of staying on top of that hill may have crossed a line. I would say if that's what he did, I would say most definitely it crosses a line. So for me, it's just interesting to have this perspective at the age that I am, thinking about this in this manner because, like I said at the beginning of this video, when I was growing up, I didn't think about grifting, you know? Like I said, variations of that idea, snake oil salesman, con artist. I think the closest you would come to it when I was growing up would be riding the coattails of others, because basically it's the same thing, right? And to a certain degree, I understand. But at the same time, this could be a really good lesson in when you've grifted so hard for so long and been so successful at it that your fall is the fact that you crossed your own ethical line that you have preached for years of having, or of having that border, that line that you won't cross, right? I know I'm kind of saying this kind of weird. I'm not very good at this. Again, I'm not a professional. But anyway, those are my thoughts. And they're kind of disjointed, I understand. Again, I kind of suck at this. But I don't know. Leave your, comments down below. And maybe we'll have more discussions like this. I will talk about other things in the future. I have other channels. REK Films Montana is one of them. That's my big one. I do have a short film going to release fairly soon. I'm still working on some of the audio of that, but I shot that the end of it last year, and it's been kind of on the back burner, but I'm getting back to it, and so I'll be putting that up on my REK Films channel pretty soon. So kind of look up that's REK Film, yeah, that's REK Films Montana. So look for that. But outside of that right now, guys, that is REK Thoughts. See you guys later.